So I made an interesting observation when I was listening to a business breakdown of Databricks. Okay, just for context, I like listening to conversations between investors and operators in the tech space because they always dive deep, exploring like different business models and why it makes sense when a business does really well. Okay, so for those of you who don't know who Databricks are, they started in the research lab in, I believe it was UC Berkeley, so college in America, back in 2013. Okay. Last summer in 2023, they had 50% growth. It's massive. Okay. And after raising capital from Nvidia and Capital One, they were last valued around like 43 billion. I actually think it's closer to 35 billion more recently, according to TechCrunch. But essentially, what they do, they work at enterprise level. They've worked with Mercedes Benz, Square, Walgreens, Michelin, just to name a few. And what they do is they help businesses make data-based decisions through their data processing platform. Okay. And they provide tools that break down and analyze large sets of data from multiple sources in multiple formats. And how they do this is they take unstructured data. So unstructured data, imagine a rapidly evolving environment where things are flying at you all the time and data is constantly being produced. You don't just want to look at historical data. You want to look at things that are happening right now, live, because you need to make a strategic business decision right now, right? Obviously, it goes without saying, it's hard to really extract meaning from all the different like numbers unless you have a unique algorithm or you have expertise in managing unstructured data. Okay, so what Databricks did was they came along and they started making unstructured data accessible to businesses and companies. And what I found really interesting was, if you look at like a manufacturing facility, for example, okay, so Databricks, they work with some of the biggest healthcare pharmaceutical companies across the world. And what are these companies doing? They're producing things in real time on complex manufacturing lines. So you have to wait, you have different inputs, you have to refine the temperature at which they're being heated and manipulated, and then you have to make sure that the quality is good for each of them. And you need the right amount of this and that and this and that, and you have to make sure everything's packaged properly. And essentially, to do all of that successfully at scale, you need to not only take the data while it's happening from the machines, you also need to take data from each of the sensors in your manufacturing facility. You're going to want to use like video surveillance of the lines and the people working on it, all to make smart decisions. Okay, so in this case, something like Databricks that can process that unstructured streaming data is really powerful. But I guess, to really make it relevant to SaaS as a use case, in the consumer world, imagine being able to say, okay, I can analyze in real time where your best opportunity is to win a potential buyer. Like how much you're going to pay for it. And they're going to pay a higher price than anywhere else because it has a higher hit rate. You're skipping the time, effort, energy, the money and trial and error required to figure it all out. So what Databricks value, what they prioritize is this. You guys over there, you can work as hard as you want figuring this out, but we'll work less hard to get the same result. Or alternatively, we'll put in the exact same inputs as you, but we'll get light years ahead and we'll do it way quicker because we have an overview of what's going on right now and we can iterate quicker with volume at scale. And it goes without saying, sure, in an ideal world, we could grow and scale and do everything ourselves and test and do trial and error, but that's not how life works. So what happens is you either work yourself and your team until you can't anymore, or until the market pushes you out, whichever comes first, or you realize there's a much bigger game to be played. Okay, and this is how I look at business. This is how I look at companies, especially when they're really trying to scale. Okay, and if you work with us, this essentially is at the center of what we do. And I guess the key here is it isn't just one thing. Okay, like when you're trying to scale, I keep talking about this gap. And essentially, all it means is your current situation where you are and where you're trying to go. This gap isn't solved with better ads. It's not solved with better appointments. It's not one thing. Okay, so when we build this out and work with you to scale, it's something that you own in-house that will keep growing and keep scaling for the entire life cycle of your business. I'm actually going to build this out in depth and outline all the mechanisms needed to scale. And then what we'll do is we'll dive into what they will look like on a practical level. Okay, so first you need product market fit. Oh, let's do that again. Product market fit. And then after that, you need to generate attention. You need to own / nurture the attention. Then you need your conversion mechanism. Conversion. After conversion, you need fulfillment. You need to retain your customers. Retention. And then, ascension. Okay. Right. Let's tidy this up a little bit and then we'll get into it. Okay. I think we're starting to cook a little bit. There we go. Perfect. Right, so let's dive into what's really required. So first is your product market fit. Like I said at the start, I did a deep dive on this, on what this really looks like in my previous video. This is something that's constantly iterated because we have to really make sure that we're not building a house on quicksand. Fun fact, research shows that over 1/3, so 35% to be specific, 35% of startups fail because there's no market need for their product. Okay, sadly, this is something that could be avoided with proper market research. Okay, so what we do is, even here, we still dial in the market desires, so what they actually want. Market wants. And to really do this here, we need unique insights. Perfect. Then for attention, the first step really is to create the strategy for generating it. So, strategy. What this really means here is the best platforms to use for your SaaS. In terms of generating attention, we like to use YouTube and Meta because the friction to consume is a lot lower, which essentially means ads. But as I've said in previous videos, the best way to get a user in quickly and have them stay is to give them something they want. Okay, so we don't build out ads saying, hey, sign up to my software. Okay, we provide free value, and that could be information, like a how-to. It could be a masterclass. If we're really being as concise as possible, the goal here is to give the market something they want in exchange for their interest. Okay, now the next step is to own and nurture that attention. I went deep into this on episode 3 of the 7-day series. The goal isn't to pay the platforms to advertise forever. Okay? If you can own and nurture the attention that you generate and create like a really concentrated and focused group around your software, what happens is you have prospects who know your software. They know what problems you solve. They're constantly exposed to your messaging. And the best part is, because they've come from your ads and they've chosen to opt in, they're a warm audience, which means even if they don't buy or sign up immediately, they convert over time, which means your cost to acquire a user, beautiful. Okay. Personally, we like to use communities. Okay. And if you have a community, that means you need management and you need engagement. There we go. Okay. Now for conversion, we like to use attention converting sales assets. So essentially the goal for attention converting sales assets is, they prompt your warm audience. So people who already know exactly who you are, they prompt these people to take action. Okay. They send them through a funnel to get on a call. Obviously, of course, unless your software sells itself. Here, what we like to do is appointment setting. You need a refined sales process. And I guess it should go without saying anyway, to make both of these really work, you need talent. And anytime you need talent, you need management or systems. Yeah, so anytime you need talent, you need management or systems. Otherwise, all of this whole mechanism breaks. Okay. Now, for fulfillment, the most important step is your onboarding. Okay. And the reason why is if you have poor onboarding after you've worked really hard to get a user, they'll either cancel or they just won't go past a free trial if we're doing free trials. Okay. And then the next problem to solve is having the best platform for support. Once this here is really dialed in, then we can really play. Then we can really start to play. Okay, so the focus then becomes how we can increase usage of your products. Now, the goal here for your users is to make this as ritual as brushing their teeth in the morning. Okay. And how you really ramp this up is again with talent, but specifically having the right people in the right functions. So the focus here is on team structure. Let's move this down a bit. Yes, the focus here is on team structure. And anytime you have talent, you have to have accountability. Okay. When everyone knows the position they play, this takes off like a rocket. Now, to retain and keep a user in, you can't just do more of what made a prospect become a user in the first place, because hopefully you've solved and you're continuing to solve their main problem. So what we like to do here is create more value and solve future problems they'll come across. Okay. And I guess, the better way of saying this is it's the strategy of how to increase their lifetime value. Okay. Now, to ascend, we like to do two things parallel. The first is increase the average order value. There's a couple ways that we do it. The first is whether that's more seats for other team members or like a higher plan. And the second is the frequency of purchase. Okay. I really want to make it clear how much of an extent that this is not just one thing. Okay. A business is a system like a car. All the parts need to be moving at the same pace to scale. Okay. If any of the variables are slower than the others, you can only go as fast as that variable. Okay. So, like, it's not about demos and appointments. It's not about sales. Okay. You need to be able to see every single bottleneck and be able to lift the constraints so that the more inputs you put in, you can get significantly more outputs. Okay. And this here is everything we implement into companies to really make them scalable. Okay. We like to go for depth because that's how you get rid of failure scenarios. Okay. And when you see it like this, in this depth, there's a reason why SaaS founders will pay 15 to 20K upfront for it. Because when we build this out, it gives you value month after month, and you're going to get an ROI from it over the whole life cycle of your business. Okay. People want to buy something once, even if it's high ticket, as long as you keep getting value from it time and time again, and they don't have to keep paying retainers month after month after month after month. So instead, we said, why would you pay an agency every month and have to keep us around every month, or nothing works? Sooner or later, companies want to bring everything in-house. No one wants to work with an agency every month. And I know this because if you see my previous videos, you'll know that this is how we were seen in the market when I ran my ad agency. It doesn't make sense. So in terms of this, when you work with us, this whole infrastructure, all of these mechanisms, this is built out within the first 30 days. So on average, after your onboarding call, within 48 hours, we've already put together a proven offer. In 7 to 10 days, you have a team of trained growth specialists handling, generating attention, handling leads, appointments. If your SaaS sells itself and you don't need demos, users start coming in, or if a sales call is needed, then, within the next 15 to 30 days, you start printing. Okay. And then we work with you for 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, based on how complex the bottlenecks that you have are. Okay. We track the data of the growth. We review the numbers and iterate live week by week so you can ramp up with this pretty quickly. And I guess what really makes all of this work, what allows it to make scaling quicker, more effortless, and more sustainable is, like a post-mortem when someone passes away and the coroner opens up their body to like figure out what went wrong. So in business, you can't really afford for things to always go wrong first. So what we did is we did a pre-mortem of each operational scenario that would cause your SaaS to fail. So when we build this out and work with you to scale, really it's not even just so it's something that you own in-house that will keep growing and scaling for the entire lifetime of your business. Really, it's so that we can avoid all these failure scenarios along the way. And then we use the data to iterate and grow week by week. So I've said it before, okay, but even with all the know-how, if you don't have the data on what works and what doesn't, you're not actually in the game yet. Okay, because in the digital age, changes are happening every single day. The market's already moving forward. Okay, so if you want us to help you implement this into your business, I've just opened back up the calendar to onboard the next few partners that we can come into their business, build up one of these infrastructures and help to scale, collecting more data on what works across different markets within SaaS. This is not going to be for everyone. I want to make that really clear now. This is not going to be for everyone. Okay, you need to have already found your product market fit and you need to have users already. You can't scale something that doesn't have users. Okay. Now, of course, if you haven't found your product market fit yet and you need users, I've made a video on it. Okay, I've made a video on how I would test my product market fit and get hundreds of users within the first 30 days or less of launching my SaaS. But if what I mentioned sounds like you and you qualify, here's what you're going to do. You're going to click on the link under this video that says schedule a walkthrough call with my team. Now, our system usually filters through about 33% who don't qualify. But if you do, after this, you'll get a 10-minute call with one of my growth specialists and they're going to audit your business first. Now, the main goal of that call is to walk through the bottlenecks and constraints that are currently keeping you from scaling. Now, after this, you'll get a link to a video call where we'll break down all the systems, all the processes, and even the talent that you need to elevate these constraints and scale. But here's where it gets good. Okay, here's where it gets really good. For the next 5 people, 5 only, for the next 5 people who book a call, we're going to lower the barrier of entry to implement, and we'll build out one of these for 12K. Last time I ran this offer, the calendar booked up within the first 36 hours. So I actually can't guarantee everyone who watches this video is going to be able to take advantage of that offer before it goes back up. But I mean, if this is of interest and if you feel like this is what you've been looking for to really grow your SaaS, click the link below and let's just play bigger games, because we're in September now. There are 3 months left this year. There's an impact of time. I mean, you can go into 2025 still trying to hit the same targets, or alternatively, within the next 30 days, all of the headache, all of this trial and error can be done. And I mean, we could just start playing bigger games and solving bigger problems. But that's it. Hope this was helpful. Hope you really see the depth here. But yeah, have a beautiful day and I'll see you in the next one.